All right, everybody, welcome to the official 2024 Honda CB650R press introduction. This is a motorcycle industry function here in the American Southeast to show off Honda's 2024 CB650R naked bike. This is part of Honda's 3-bike Neo Sports Café naked bike lineup that we have highlighted with the CB300R, the CB650R, which we are operating right now, and the CB1000R, which is above this motorcycle. So we have the CB300R, CB650R, and the CB1000R motorcycles. Now, for the 2014 model year, Honda has done some really nice modifications to this vehicle. Now, the primary modification they have done is the fitment of Honda's e-clutch technology. The e-clutch technology fully automates the clutch actuation experience. So although I was using the clutch right there, I don't have to. I'm kind of just using it out of habit, just from having used it, obviously, from the dawn of motorcycling. Now, the advantage of this e-clutch technology is that it fully automates the use of the clutch. So if you don't want to, you literally don't have to operate the clutch even at a stop or during a vehicle launch, which is pretty amazing. You still have to shift this motorcycle manually with a left-hand side-mounted gear shift lever. Although there's some similarities to Honda's DCT dual clutch transmission, this isn't the same as dual clutch transmission. Dual clutch transmission fully automates the clutch and shifting experience, while Honda's e-clutch only automates clutch actuation. You still have to shift the vehicle manually. It's worth noting that this powertrain also has an electronic quick shifter built into the system. Now, this 2024 CB650R continues to use Honda's 649cc inline-four engine. It's water-cooled, dual overhead camshafts with a 16-valve cylinder head. This powertrain configuration is good for 81 horsepower at the business end of that 17-inch cast aluminum wheel. Of course, we have the e-clutch cable actuated clutch, 6-speed transmission, and a chain final drive that terminates on the left-hand side of the vehicle. This motorcycle drinks from a 4.2 gallon fuel tank and delivers right around 38.5 mpg. Now, back to the e-clutch. The e-clutch really is an ingenious mechanically engineered system which has basically an upper and lower clutch lever integrated into the right-hand side of the engine. Now, the clutch lever is dissimilar from this clutch lever, where the clutch lever, basically, it's the connection that allows the vehicle to automate the clutch, yet still allow you to have full manual clutch control if you like. So let's say we want to use the clutch. Let's pull in the clutch downshift. When you pull in the clutch has a different feel to it. It feels much more lighter. And as soon as you release that clutch, the system automatically switches back into auto mode after 1 second. However, if you're at low engine running speeds, it takes 5 seconds for the engine clutch to automatically go back into auto mode. So you could still, in theory, stall this vehicle. Let's say if you actuate the clutch at a stop and then all of a sudden you just try to give it gas and try to shift, it takes 5 seconds for that auto clutch to kick back in. So that's one caveat of the system. Who's it for? Well, the auto clutch is basically, e-clutch is basically for someone who doesn't want to have to use the clutch on the motorcycle. So new riders who are maybe unfamiliar with the actual operating a vehicle with a mechanical clutch, that is who this vehicle could be good for. Of course, if you're a seasoned rider, you can still operate the motorcycle. without having to, with using the clutch. So right there, we didn't even use the clutch. We just stopped the motorcycle and it automatically has the engine running, and it almost feels like a scooter. It's almost like a scooter, yet you still have to upshift or downshift. Now, another cool feature of this bike is let's upshift in a couple gears. So if we are in too high of a gear for vehicle speed traveled, this icon right here alerts us that we need to downshift. That is another new feature of this 2024 CB650R, is this bright color 5-inch TFT display, which is a huge improvement from the hard to read one color display of the 2019 through 2023 CB650R. So that's kind of a cool feature. Vehicles fitted with an electronic quick shifter, the vehicle, when you change gears, it automatically cuts ignition timing and engine fuel for a smoother shift. That's been going on for years. But this e-clutch ups the ante by not only cutting ignition and fuel, but also applying a bit of clutch to help gear exchanges. So gear shifts on this motorcycle are ridiculously smooth. That little lag time that you have between shifting, it's a smoother actuation. So without this e-clutch, when you shift gears, the shift is a little bit more harsh. You know, it kind of varies on different bikes. For example, Suzuki's 2022 and newer GSX 1300R has an excellent electronic quick shifter that is so crazy smooth that it actually shifts gears even more smoothly than the CB650R with auto clutch. But still, it's nice to know that in theory, you can have an even smoother shifting experience by allowing the engine to exchange each gear cog with reduction of ignition timing, fuel, and a little bit of clutch actuation. Pretty neat. Now, this motorcycle with a full tank of fuel weighs 456 pounds. So e-clutch makes the motorcycle a little bit heavier than its predecessor. 456 pounds with a full 4.2 gallons of fuel. Now, the cool thing about this CB650R compared to its CBR650R middleweight sport bike brother is the upright ergonomics afforded by this traditional handlebar. This motorcycle is crazy comfortable. I really like upright naked bikes. They give you a lot of the benefits of sport bikes, just with more upright ergonomics and no fairings. However, I always do like the front fairing and windscreen of a sport bike. Now, this 2024 CB650R rolls on 17-inch cast aluminum wheels with triple disc hydraulic brakes from Nissan. We have 4-piston radial mount calipers up front. There we are. See, look, clutch is engaged, and we're in first gear, and the motorcycle already just drives, very much like a scooter. And away we go, folks. While some other people might go through stoplights, we here at this organization obey all rules of law in the United States, and we come to complete stops at every stop sign. So, up front we have a Showa 41mm inverted fork. This fork offers 4.7 inches of travel. There is no adjustment. The separate function means one fork leg does spring duties, and the other fork leg houses the damping cartridge. So the spring and the damping are split between the fork leg. What that does is it basically reduces weight of the front suspension. This motorcycle, the suspension on it kicks butt. It rides over bumps really well, yet still has very good sporting aptitude in the twisties. Now, as far as the rear shock goes, we have a direct non-linkage equipped shock absorber from Showa with preload adjustment. Only preload adjustment allows you to change the ride height of the vehicle based on rider preference or vehicle load. So you can do that if you want. Again, the rear Shock has just over 5 inches of suspension travel. This motorcycle rides really nicely over bumps. Good job, Honda. Now the engine on this motorcycle, this 649cc i4 engine, is not the latest and greatest engine in American Honda's power sports lineup, but it gets the job done. It really stands apart from other competitors in the middleweight naked bike segment by the use of actually having 4 cylinders. A lot of vehicles in the middleweight naked bike segment have twin cylinder engines. This thing has a 4-cylinder engine, yet it's still crazy narrow. This motorcycle is just as narrow as a twin cylinder bike, but it has 2 extra cylinders, and those 2 extra cylinders not only afford more engine power, but they afford a character that is just awesome. Like, listen to this thing. Yes! I love that wail of an inline-4. Yeah! This thing just sounds boss. And that is the advantage of an inline-4. That said, this engine does have some inherent engine vibration through the controls. At lower RPM, the engine vibration is very muted through the handlebar and the foot peg. You can feel a little bit of it, but it's fairly muted. But if you get this engine revving high, you definitely feel the engine vibration. It's kind of crazy. There's no tachometer on this motorcycle. I'm sure that's a setting you can adjust, but in standard configuration we have no tachometer. We just have a gear fuel meter, which keeps tabs on the 4.2 gallon fuel tank, gear position indicator, and speed. Honda, where is the tachometer? That is a crazy thing to not have. Oh well. Here we're inside the menu system, which we use with this backlit 1-button multi-control button function. And this button functions, it's okay, but the tactile feel with gloves isn't the best. It's certainly better when you're not wearing a glove. And as usual, the user interface and the menu navigation on this CB650R isn't the best. That's one aspect where Honda has historically always lagged behind its competition, is user experience and menu navigation. Honda, we've said it for years, you need to invest in greater user experience. The menu navigation on these bikes has to improve. Still, it's a nice upgrade from the single color, hard to read in direct sunlight display of its predecessor. These rear view mirrors do a nice job of showing you what's behind you. Of course, when the engine vibrates a little bit, the mirrors get a little buzzy, but just short shift the motorcycle, keep it in tall gear, and you will be okay. Now, electronics wise, this motorcycle employs always on ABS, and we have Honda's selectable torque control, which you can manually disable by pushing this button. Now Honda's selectable torque control is off. That's Honda's term for traction control. Yeah, some turns. I love me some turns, especially on this 456-pound CB650R. This bike is really playful and fun to ride. Now it's worth noting that Honda's e-clutch will come equipped on all 2024 CB650Rs and CBR650Rs. You cannot buy the motorcycle without the e-clutch. However, if you don't want to use the e-clutch, just don't use it. Use the clutch manually like you would normally do, and it's all good. The only difference is you're going to feel a slightly different feel when you pull in the clutch initially. But then once the clutch is in manual clutch mode, then it's going to feel like a traditional clutch. You can also lock out the automatic setting within the menu system if you want. So if you want the bike to always be in manual mode, you can select that setup. Like we said, the e-clutch adds a little bit of weight to the motorcycle. It also adds a little bit of width, maybe about an inch of width to the right side of the motorcycle. Of course, that houses the upper and lower clutch lever arms, which is the secret sauce to Honda's e-clutch, and a pair of electronic motors which do the heavy lifting. Honda used a pair of electronic motors because they needed that 2 motors to have enough power to actuate the system. 2 motors also allow for a more narrow design as opposed to 1 bigger motor. So if they selected 1 bigger motor, it would have had the power, but it would have made the motorcycle a little bit wider. So that's why they went with 2 motors. Honda's e-clutch is going to be added to future 2025 American Honda Power Sport vehicles. Right now it's just the CB650R and CBR650R Duo, but stay tuned for 2025. The technology is coming to other vehicles, and it's pretty neat. It just allows folks who don't have the mechanical aptitude to actuate a manual clutch to experience the thrill of riding a middleweight naked bike like the CB650R. So I'm an advocate of it. I think it's cool. You have to remember, myself, the organization I represent, and American Honda, we are inclusive organizations with inclusivity baked into our ethos. So offering technology and helping expand motorcycle riding to all types of people, regardless of their experience or their ability, is a win in my book. Well, everyone, that's a quick review of American Honda's 2024 CB650R. This vehicle retails for $9,400 in the United States. It's built in Thailand and carries a 1-year warranty. I like this bike. It's super cool looking. The inline-four engine makes it stand out in the middleweight naked bike class. Yeah, it's kind of expensive, but again, it's got that awesome i4 engine. It looks really cool. Finish on this motorcycle is exquisite. Even though it's built in Thailand, you'd never know. You'd think this motorcycle is built in Japan just because the fit and finish is so high. I like this color TFT display. That's a nice improvement. The e-clutch is not a feature I'm looking for. I'm not looking for an e-clutch. You know, I could take it or leave it, but I still think it's neat that Honda offers it. And if you don't want to use the e-clutch function, you don't have to. But then again, it still does elevate the MSRP of this vehicle to $9,400. It would be nice if maybe Honda offered a $400 less, let's say $8,999 CB650R for folks who don't want the added cost and complexity of the e-clutch, because although Honda's a master at engineering very reliable mechanical systems, there is going to be more inherent complexity and wear and tear on this e-clutch. You know, we don't know what it is, but there is added complexity and a durability issue somewhere. So it would have been nice if Honda just offered non-e-clutch bikes for a $400 discount for all of us riders like me who can take or leave the technology. Still, $9,400 for a middleweight naked bike. It's kind of pricey, but the CB650R is awesome. Really, the only gripe I have with this vehicle is the user experience. Again, it's awesome. Honda fitted a 5-inch color TFT, but the menu system on this bike is just subpar, as it is on most new Honda motorcycles. So Honda, step it up. Consult with Apple. You need to elevate the user experience of this display. The tactile function of the switchgear could be better as well. It's not terrible, but it's not the best either. As always, make sure to surf on over to our website. We have tens of articles on this vehicle and other vehicles like it in the segment. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs it down if you don't, because we'd love to hear from the naysayers out there. Everyone's opinion counts at our organization. And we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for riding with us. Goodbye.